Okay, so what does the DAC do for students with disabilities?
I think that'd be a good question for our Secretary Leslie Thomas, since she is the first face that students see when they approach our office.
Okay. The Disability and Access Center works to provide a level playing field for our students. We do this through providing academic and classroom and testing accommodations. That could be anything from note-taking assistance, recording of devices, up to when you're taking a test, we can do reduced distraction environment in our testing center. We can provide extra time on tests and just things of that nature to help students have an academic environment that is equal to the academic environment that students without disabilities would have.
Okay, so how would a student register with you guys to get these accommodations?
Okay, I'll go ahead and take that question as well. It's actually a very easy two-step process. They would fill out a registration application, which can be found on the Disability and Access Center's website. Once we get that application, we would also need some documentation of the disability. That would be anything showing us a diagnosis from a qualified healthcare provider. And once we get those two items in, the student will be called in to have an interview with either our associate director or our director. And at that time, accommodations will be assigned to the student.
I think it might be good for our Associate Director, Mr. Kevin States, to discuss a little bit about what that meeting usually looks like.
Usually when Lance or myself meet with the student, we just determine what exactly is going on, what do they need, how does their disability or disabilities impact them school-wise. And then when we make that determination, and we discuss with the student, kind of just open-ended what is going on. We make that determination, then the letters will be processed. It'll be sent to the students, and then the students and the professors will work out how those accommodations can best be implemented. And it has to be a process that the student and the professor must have some kind of contact about.
Okay, so for exams or quizzes, so if a student who's already here at the university is taking a quiz, because like for the tests they're pretty obvious, but how would quizzes be handled? Like say if they're online and maybe they're not as accessible as they typically are. So how would that work?
There's no difference between online and on ground. A person is entitled to access. Access is indeed, at its very core, a true right that every single student or person has. And so it really doesn't matter whether it's an online or an in-person test. The person will receive their accommodations. If there's any accessibility issues as it relates to the software or the technology itself, that's something that a student could bring to our office, and we would work along with the professor to rectify that. So it really doesn't matter whether we're talking about a quiz or a test or on ground or online type assignments. All those environments, all those situations, a person still is entitled to the same access, and we'd be happy to assist the students in attaining that access.
Okay, so I know that you all have that the DAC has that they believe in three things: the access, awareness, and accommodation. So I guess any of you can talk about these three things that you all believe in and strive for as far as MTSU.
Okay, that's kind of a curveball. There's three of us, so let's all take one.
Okay.
And we'll let Leslie go first. We'll do ladies first. Which A would you like?
Okay, I'll go with access. As I said earlier, we really are here to make a level playing field. There's nothing that students are going to get here that's going to give them the upper hand over what other students get. A lot of our students, because of their disabilities, are working with a deficit. So we step in to alleviate that deficit with whatever technological tools we can. And that's what the access piece is really all about.
I'll let you have awareness, because I know that's your baby.
That's my favorite. You're so nice.
I'll do accommodations. I think Leslie kind of touched up on that a little earlier, and myself. Basically, just getting students accommodated through letters, getting something simple as extra time on test. Again, on how to get accommodated, could be something, just get registered with our office, fill out the application, meeting with either myself or Lance. And some accommodations in addition could be something such as technology, it could be something simple as priority registration. And so it's just making sure, as Leslie touched upon earlier, that the student has the same rights as anybody else without fundamentally altering the course.
And awareness, Kevin's right, that is my favorite. And it really boils down to disability awareness, both on the standpoint of what a person with a disability, when they access accommodations or they ask for access, that an awareness that is all they're asking for. They're asking for an equal opportunity. No more, no less, and that's a basic right that every student should be afforded. So breaking that down for professors or anyone else who has a question about, what exactly is this academic piece to our office, but also a greater awareness just for disability culture along the same lines as intercultural affairs or the Judy Anderson Center wants and looks for and promotes activities to appreciate various cultures. Disability is a unique and significant culture, and we want to promote opportunities and even provide opportunities that acknowledge and even celebrate disability culture.
And I think that those three things coming together are really, really important because, since I understand that you all are helping to make the rest of the campus accessible as well as here. Yes, all over campus, not just here and at the Adaptive Technology Center.
Absolutely, that's definitely our hope. Access is a responsibility for everyone, and we definitely promote that ideology.
Awesome, and that's why I'm proud to be a student here, because it's not like I have to, I can access anything I want to, and that's an awesome thing. Right there. Well, thank you all for your time, and it's been a pleasure talking to you about the Disability and Access Center here at MTSU.
Thank you so much.
I am interviewing Quinn, who is a legally blind worker at the Adaptive Technology Center. So Quinn, how do you do your job at the ATC even though you're legally blind?
Well, thanks for having me, Kira. I use various assistive technology to do my job. One thing I use, Kira, is Zoom Text. Zoom Text is a screen reading / screen magnifying program. So I am able to zoom in on specific things on the screen and have the screen reading component read exactly what I'm looking for.
Well, that's awesome. So, and I'm curious about this for myself. Tell our viewers how you do OCR, like how you scan books.
Okay, well, we once our students submit a alternate request form, they bring in the book, and if they want us to chop the spine off the book so that they can receive the book as soon as possible, we also have other ways if they choose not to have the spine removed. But if they choose to have the spine chopped off, they bring in the book, we cut the spine off, we feed it through pretty big scanner, and that scan, once all the pages are scanned in, we now have a PDF file. And we, there's a button within the PDF file, PDF program, I'm sorry. It's called Recognize Text. And what that does is it takes the pictures of the PDF and makes them readable for someone that has a visual impairment.
Yes, so, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, how do you look over the text to see if it translated correctly?
Well, I have some vision, so
Mhm.
I would use my vision to make sure if things are lined up correctly within the scanner, to make sure no pages were jammed or something like that. Because if that happens, you have issues with the OCR program. It will not work properly. So, me, I use the Zoom Text program I spoke to you about. That I zoom in as close as I need to on the text to make sure it looks appropriate.
Okay. So, when do you, I know that you guys use Kurzweil to translate text, so how does that work if someone wanted to use the Kurzweil format?
Okay, good question. So what happens is once we have the text, once we OCR the PDF after it's scanned in, we can take, we can print each chapter of that book into a Kurzweil program.
Mm-hmm.
From there, once it's translated or printed into Kurzweil, the student is able to listen to the book. And the Kurzweil program also shows, it also highlights the text for some individuals that have maybe difficulty with reading or keeping up with reading the textbooks.
Mm-hmm.
It also does various other things.
Yeah, so Kurzweil, does it add more navigation than doing it the other way that you talked about with the PDF and then translating it through Adobe? Does it provide more navigation for the student?
Absolutely. Well, it has to. We still have to.
You have to put it in, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So once it's in, you are able to navigate more. The student is able to take notes within the Kurzweil file in the textbook. So they're able to navigate and do more things and search by words, definitions, page numbers, all within Kurzweil. And you can't, you can do that to some degree within a PDF, but it's not as beneficial if you're using a Kurzweil program.
Oh, what's not as beneficial?
Navigating, finding specific things in the textbook
yeah.
is more difficult.
Trying to get the page numbers and
Exactly.
that sort of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. So, well, it's been a pleasure interviewing you, and I think it's awesome that you as a legally blind student can work in the ATC and contribute to campus access.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, Kira.
You're welcome. It's been nice having you.